Hi, everyone, and welcome to another product short. I'm extremely excited about today's topic and to be paired with Tessa. So without further ado, let's get into it. This one is something everybody needs to keep in mind, and that's 5 email testing tips for total peace of mind. Let me introduce you to our co-host today. Tessa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tessa, or Tess. I'm the content manager at Dispatch. I come from a copywriting and content writing background, and I love email. So I'm really excited to be here today with you and talk about email testing, which is something I do almost every day.
That's great to have you. I hope this is the first of many product shorts together. So today's topics, 5 tips. First, use a modular email design system. We have lots of videos about this. We'll link to them. We'll let you know, but this is the best place to start. Number 2, preview your templates on popular device and email client combos. 3, don't forget about dark mode. We did a product short on dark mode. We'll talk about that. Number 4, send yourself a test email and double check all of your links. Sounds obvious, but it's everything. And then 5, think beyond responsiveness. So stay tuned for that one. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Tessa, who will walk you through the tips. So Tess, I'm going to hand over the screen share.
Okay, so the first tip we have for you today is use a modular design system. And you might be wondering, what does this have to do with email testing? And I can explain. So having a robust email testing framework is really great. If you're working on email, you need a process and tools in place to help you test them. That's a given. But the next level is having an email design system you can trust. So you're not constantly worrying about responsive quirks and rendering issues. And this is where a modular email design system comes into play. So if you're not familiar with modular email design, the 5-second explanation is it's a system where you separate your templates into modules that you can reuse to create new templates for a bunch of different purposes. So you can kind of see that on the screen here. And the metaphor everyone uses is it's like email Lego blocks, basically. So I'll show you what that looks like in Dispatch. And let me just open up. Yes, we have a nice template here. And you can see all my modules are blocks, as we call them in Dispatch, are on the side here. And these are all pre-coded and pre-approved. And what that means is when I drop one of these blocks into my templates, I know it's going to be already responsive. It's been tested. It's going to look great on all devices and in all email clients. So as you can imagine, a modular system like this allows you to move really fast, but it also means you can trust more. So we always say the real benefit of a tool like Dispatch isn't that you're testing more, but that through a modular design system built with the Dispatch markup language, DML, which is like our underlying email code. So it's guaranteed to be responsive, and you get that peace of mind. So you have the option to test built right in as well. So we have like integrated litmus testing, but you also just know your template is going to look good. And testing doesn't turn into troubleshooting, which is a really key point. So it's always just like a quick check to be safe.
It's a great example, Tessa. And I also want to call out that this is a real Dispatch template that we've actually sent. So I love to see a real life example of the email modular design system in play. And this is the one that we use at Dispatch.
Thanks, Vero. Yeah, that's a great point. So that brings us to tip number 2. Preview your templates on popular device and email client combos. And I'll show you what that looks like again in Dispatch. So I'm going to click the preview button here. And you'll see there's a bunch of different combinations I can choose from. And just a little bonus tip here, it's a good idea to check what email clients and devices the majority of your subscribers are using to open your emails. You can usually get this data from your ESP, and it can help you decide which email clients and devices are really important for you to check. So like, I'm not going to generate a preview of my email for all of these devices. That would be overkill. And especially with a tool like Dispatch, as I mentioned, it's not necessary as I know my templates are responsive. But if I know the majority of my list is using iOS 15, for example, then I'll make sure I preview my template on that email client specifically. So you can see I can select iOS 15 here. And that actually brings us to our next tip, because as you can see, I can also preview my template in dark mode. So tip number 3, don't forget about dark mode. If you think you don't need to worry about this, you might want to reconsider. I think like 36% of Apple iOS mail users prefer dark mode. And there's been polls that have shown like 90% of people said they use dark mode whenever it's available. So people really like dark mode, and it should be a consideration when you're testing your emails. Thankfully, that's really easy to do with Dispatch's built-in litmus testing. So you can just select one of the dark mode previews here. As you can see, I have selected. And I'll go ahead and generate my previews.
Note about dark mode too is that if you don't have dark mode as a consideration and somebody who wants dark mode opens up your email, it's going to look broken. And you know what people do with broken emails? They just leave. They just delete it. They don't even look at it. And they count it as a broken email and nobody likes those. So this is a really important tip. Oh yeah, look at this, Tessa.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great point. We actually did a study at Dispatch that found like 60% of people will just delete an email or ignore an email if it's hard to read or broken or whatnot. So that's a big chunk of your audience. So we can see we have our previews, they've been generated, and we can just go through and double check. Yeah, this template looks really nice. Looks good here too. And then I have my dark mode, and the colors aren't being inverted or anything like that. So that's exactly what we needed. That's great. So that's the preview step. The next tip I have for you is to always send yourself a test. So we've seen that my template is going to look good in these different email client combinations. But I also want to send myself a test so that I can check my links, because broken links, that's another common mishap that happens with email. And with Dispatch, it's really nice because I can also send to my team members. So for example, if I wanted to include Vero, I could add her here. And then you can see we have the option to send an HTML preview, AMP, or both. And that's because Dispatch also has interactive AMP templates and apps. That's another topic. I won't get into that.
We'll do a product short on that in the future, Tessa. We'll do another product short on AMP.
Yes, absolutely. +1 to that. So we got some nice confetti when we send ourselves the test, which is, got to celebrate. So I'll just pop into my inbox quickly and we can see what that preview looks like in my inbox. HTML Dispatch preview. I can go in, I can check all my links, make sure they're working, and just, check all my boxes here.
This goes back to a point you made earlier that I love, and that's that the sending the email to yourself should be like the last thing that you do to check links. It shouldn't be where you do your email testing. Your email testing should really happen in here in Dispatch, and Dispatch does a lot of the testing for you under the hood so that you don't have to be sending yourself a preview every time you make a change to test. It should just all be really easy and in one place. And that's why we love Dispatch for emails.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Okay, so I'll leave you with one last tip, and that's think beyond responsiveness. So I'm back at my template here. And what I mean by think beyond responsiveness is an email can be responsive, but still not optimized for mobile. Like your beautiful landscape image, it might look really great on desktop, but get really small and not as impressive on mobile. Or like your carefully thought out headline could read really well on desktop, but on mobile, it's like stacking, funny, or it's too long. So you want to take mobile design into consideration in addition to responsiveness. And the cool part about the Dispatch visual editor is you can actually just check your template on both views. So this is desktop, I can flip to mobile and I can see, oh yeah, my headline is looking a little bit long. Maybe I want to make it a little bit shorter on mobile. And yeah, if you want to get really fancy, you could use the Dispatch markup language. We have a desktop and mobile that allows you to specify what someone is going to see on different device sizes. But there's a product short for that. You can check that out. That's another topic. I do encourage you to check that out. And that was my last tip. So I'll pass it back to Vero to take us home.
Thanks, Tess. It's such a good pro tip to think like it's one email, but what is displayed for folks on mobile versus desktop can have a huge impact in how they convert, right? Whether they click through, their experience with your brand. So I love this last tip that really think about mobile first, but then mobile versus desktop, they're completely different experiences. And we make that pretty easy here. All right. I'm going to share my screen and just go through a couple of takeaways. So lots of good content here. What we'll leave you with, the pro tip. The pro tip is having a robust testing framework is great, but the next level is to invest in a modular email design system. It doesn't need to have a lot of content blocks. It can really only have a few, but even just that will make it so that you can trust that every email you make will always be responsive and will be pre-tested. The number 2 tip or takeaway is don't forget to preview your templates on the email clients and devices that your subscribers are using. Not the most popular ones, but what are your subscribers doing? Like Tessa said, go have a look in your ESP. What are people using to open your email? And don't forget about dark mode along the way, because if your email is not prepared for dark mode, it'll look like a broken email. And then must do is check your links. Take mobile design into consideration in addition to responsiveness, and test your links. Check everything, make sure your content is stacking the way that you wanted. And with that, you should have a winning email every single time. So with that, I'll say thank you so much to Tess for joining us today. Here are a couple of resources. Our knowledge base has so much more content. If you have any questions, reach out to us. And if you're curious to learn more about dark mode and how it can help you get conversions, we have a product short for that as well. So Tessa, any last words before we let everybody get back to their day?
Happy testing. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.